Welcome to the Selayang Stadium in Selangor, Malaysia, for another match night in the 2017 SEA Games men's football competition. It's Thailand against Timor Leste coming your way very shortly. Kick-off less than 10 minutes away. It's Group B action here. Already one game played today in Group B. It was an afternoon kick-off at the Show Alarm for Vietnam and Cambodia. The Vietnamese, very impressive 4-1 winners of that to keep up their 100% start to their Group B campaign. Thailand, of course, with work to do after dropping points in their opening clash against Indonesia at the Show Alarm earlier this week. Great things expected of this Thai team, of course. They are peerless when it comes to football in the SEA Games. An incredible 15 gold medals throughout the years in the men's and 5 in the women's. They lead the way in both men's and women's football, but a slight suspicion that maybe this time round the 2017 under-23 vintage not up to the usual high standards. That's a charge that's been levelled at them since that one or draw against Indonesia. We shall see this evening whether they can answer those critics with a resounding success against the Timor Leste team that were badly outmatched in a 4-0 defeat against Vietnam here at the Selayang earlier this week. And in truth, having covered that game, they could have lost by 10. So Timor-Leste, there you see Enrique. Expect to see him play a forward role for the Timor-Leste team as they try and salvage some pride. Remember, Group B is the 6-team group, only 5 teams in Group A, 6 in Group B, so it's a tougher schedule. These teams, of course, were in action just a couple of days ago. And from 6 teams, after the 5-game round robin, only 2 will qualify for the semi-finals. 2 from Group B and 2 from Group A. Vietnam sitting pretty on 6 points. The Philippines, after their big win against Cambodia on match day 1, in second spot on 3. Indonesia and Thailand with a point apiece. Indonesia in action at the same time as this game at the Show Alarm against the Philippines. A game I suspect that Thailand would like to see finish in a draw, but things never really work out how you'd like them in group football as the teams make their way out onto the Selayang pitch. A quick word and thought for the ground staff and the curators of the Selayang Stadium. 11 games scheduled in 2 weeks here of SEA Games action, under 2 weeks I should say, and this is the 4th of them. There were suggestions even during that game against Vietnam for Timor-Leste that the pitch was beginning to cut up, so a lot of work needed to be done on the playing surface to keep it up to snuff. On first inspection it doesn't look in too bad a shape, but still early days in terms of the action this pitch is going to have to see. Timor-Leste, where they were opened up with relative ease by Vietnam on countless occasions earlier in the week. They'll be looking to try and shore up that defence against a Thai team who weren't as clinical as people thought they would be against Indonesia. There's a glimpse of Saraya Singmu, the captain, as we pause for the national anthems. Plenty of passion from Timor-Leste there during their national anthem. Teams all shake hands before we get underway. The organisers being very strict, and rightly so, that we don't start before the allocated off time, so to speak. So still 4 minutes till kickoff is scheduled here, 8:45 local time in Malaysia. Not the best turnout you'll see for a SEA Games football match. We've had some incredible atmospheres at the SEA Games so far. The netballers really created a stir with that Singapore-Malaysia clash yesterday. Of course, speaking of Singapore and Malaysia, their game in Group A, the dramatic come-from-behind win for Malaysia was understandably well attended. A great atmosphere there as we're introduced to our Sri Lankan referee, WK Lakmal Wirakodi. His assistant referees from Sri Lanka and India. But yes, some of the football games very well attended, as you'd expect. The Malaysian games, the Vietnamese had a fair turnout here on Monday for their clash, or Tuesday I should say, apologies, for their clash against Timor-Leste. And wherever Myanmar play, you get a big following. As we check in with the starting lineup, I expect to see plenty of work from Sidichok up front for Thailand, and be interested to see how Nont Muangnam copes between the sticks in what is expected to be quite a quiet evening for him. But the way these games are being played, the pace they're being played at, you never quite know when he's going to be called into action. Of course, both teams scored in the game earlier on, Vietnam and Cambodia. Cambodia courtesy of a penalty. The two skippers exchange pendants. Soraya for Thailand and George Sabas for Timor-Leste. So WK Lakmal Wirakodi with a special minted SEA Games coin. Thailand appear to have won the toss. They have chosen which side of the pitch they'll play on, which means I'm assuming Timor-Leste will have the kickoff as Wurawut Srimaka, the coach of Thailand, comes into shot. Under a bit of pressure already, you know. It's no easy feat qualifying out of the group in Group B with the 6 teams being there, albeit Timor-Leste are expected to be struggling against all of the opposition they face. Not too many changes either from the Timor-Leste team that were in action just a couple of days ago, so fatigue is going to be a factor for all these squads. Expect to see some rotation from their coach, Kim Shamwan, throughout the course of the 90 minutes. Rafinho featured, as did Nathaniel, in the game against Vietnam on Tuesday. So, not much of an atmosphere, but let's hope we get some great football from Thailand to try and compensate for that. There is Kim Shan Hwan. An unenviable task trying to steer Timor-Leste through to this group, as WK Lakmal Wirakodi gets us underway. Less than 60 seconds off from the scheduled kickoff time. It will be Timor-Leste to get us underway, playing in the red shirts to the right of your screens. Thailand in their change of white to the left. Of course, Thailand usually in blue. Goal scorer for Thailand on the bench today. That was Chayawat, who scored their opening goal in the 14th minute against Indonesia. He drops to the bench for today's action, and Timor-Leste yet to trouble the scoreboard operator after 90 minutes of football. So the second game for both Thailand and Timor-Leste in Group B at the 2017 SEA Games group stage is underway. From our vantage point, the pitch doesn't look too bad, but expect it to cut up. It certainly has been cutting up, and surely will only get worse. The ground staff doing a wonderful job. How they're going to navigate this to 11 games of football over the next week and a half, I do not know. Early chance for Thailand in possession, but they serve it up to Timor-Leste, who, as they often did against Vietnam, tend to give it away far too easily in the middle of the pitch. It's a uphill battle with their midfield seemingly outgunned against all the opposition, although Cambodia will present them with an interesting test. Brunei, the only team of note that Timor-Leste in recent years have been able to get results against. Unfortunately for them, Brunei in Group A on this occasion. Brunei only going down 2-1 to Malaysia, so Brunei had a good start to their campaign with a narrow defeat. Brunei next in action, of course, tomorrow, taking on Myanmar. Bound to be a huge turnout at the UITM Stadium in Shah Alam for that 4 o'clock kickoff for that one. I'll keep you up to date as best I can with what's happening with Indonesia and the Philippines, because even though it's very early days in this group stage, we'll start figuring out permutation of who needs what as Thailand come forward for the first time. Sidichok goes down. And again, this is what Timor-Leste did against Vietnam. They conceded plenty of free kicks in very dangerous positions, and we know the Thais can pull the trigger on free kicks in this kind of range. It's A1 prime real estate for the set-piece magicians here. And Sidichok, having been fouled, will go into the box. Rather sheepish-looking Portello. Now, over this for Thailand, we've got Kevin Diraram. Also, Ratanakorn. 2 options for them on the left and the right, keeping Timor-Leste goalkeeper Fagio Augusto da Silva guessing where they're shaping up. A rather fancy Kevin Diramaram is going to take this. Might be wrong. It's Kevin Diramaram with the cute cross. Timor-Leste get ahead to it. Danger not quite cleared yet, though. Surprised they didn't have an effort on goal there to try and put Fagio Augusto da Silva under a bit of very early pressure. There's too much on that ball down the left. And again, I'm sure they'll have scouted that game against Vietnam. Timor-Leste were exposed plenty down the flanks during that 90 minutes against Vietnam. No exaggeration to say the 4-0 scoreline didn't flatter Vietnam whatsoever. They've scored 4 goals again today, incidentally, and a 4-1 win against Cambodia. So they're in goal-scoring form, are Vietnam. And that'll be the benchmark. Thailand having only managed 1. And that was courtesy of a goalkeeping error against Indonesia. We'll be looking to get a couple from open play and to impress with their attacking football. Of course, that's been one of the trademarks of Thailand's resurgence in the region. They are the kings of Southeast Asian football, the flag bearers really, the standard setters certainly for football in this region at the senior level, with their senior team having done so well to get through to the 3rd round of World Cup qualifying. Not gone so well for them, has to be said, but moved heaven and earth to get there. Certainly found themselves in a developed phase of World Cup qualification that some of the other nations can only dream of. But of course, it's down to this group of players at the under-23, under-22 age group to carry that good work forward, and not many impressed with their performance against Indonesia. Sidichok again gets it back to Ratanakorn. Switching play courtesy of Shinyapat. On the ball now, Warachit, the midfield man, out to the left. That's a decently weighted ball. There's going to be a chance for a cross here, or a pullback, and another chance as well. Magnificent skill on the edge of the area, but Timor-Leste eventually, well, I say eventually, clear it. It's not that impressive a clearance. It's going to come to Picha Otra. And the throw comes to Thailand, and again, at the risk of repeating myself, that was another feature of Timor-Leste's disappointing performance against Vietnam. So often when the easy clearance appeared to be on, the ball went straight to an opposition player and they continued to feel the heat, as it were. So inside 5 minutes, need a goalkeeper forced to make a meaningful save as yet. And Nont Muangdam in the Thai goal, yet to get his hands warm with a touch of the ball. Bonkam Nopom there in close attendance as the captain. George Sabas takes the throw. I suppose the one benefit of the poor attendance for this afternoon is you get very clear audio of what the coaches are saying, for those of you fluent in multiple languages. Certainly, I think that's the Thai coach we can hear to good effect. Long ball through over the top from Shinyapat, and there's a chance developing here out to the right-hand side, and Ratanakorn decides to go back to Warachit. Thailand keeping possession nicely in this spell, prepared to be patient and wait for the gaps to develop as Timor-Leste get tired chasing the consistent passing movement of the Thais. Ratanakorn again, twisting and turning is Warachit. No one prepared to take a shot just yet. That's Vidichat. What a chit again. Edge of the box, it goes to Vidichat. Cross comes in, keeper hesitates ever so slightly, defender heads it away. And Timor Leste come away with it through Danielson. Bit of trickery of sorts from Andalino Trindade. And Thailand may be forced to go back to the goalkeeper here to give Nont his first touch. No, they decide not to. So still no touch for Thai goalkeeper Nont Muangnam. So a slow start here for Thailand, not the fast start that we saw from Vietnam, who opened their account after 8 minutes in that encounter here at the Selayang against Timor Leste. It's a nice ball through and a nice first touch as well. Out to the right-hand side it goes, and Ratanakorn. Sitachok. It's a bit messy at the moment from Thailand. The side-to-side passes look pretty enough on the eye, but when it comes to the incisive through balls, not exactly at the races just yet. Timor Leste, for now, and I stress for now, looking comfortable, but how quickly that might change. Here's Sitachok. The dummy leaves it to Nopon. Kevin Duramram. As Indonesia take the lead against the Philippines in the other game taking place right now in Group B. It's Indonesia 1, the Philippines 0. Philippines. Now that FIFA ban has been lifted, they're making up for lost time. And a good start for them, this draw against Thailand being followed by an early lead against the Philippines, who of course caused their own mini upset when they beat Cambodia on match day 1. Out to the right-hand side, and Ratanakorn probably had more touches than any player on the pitch in these opening 8.5 minutes. Shinyapat passes it to Nopon. There's plenty of pace on that ball. I think it needed the deflection. Soraya, the skipper, is going to get a throw off the back of it. Shinyapat. That's a nice ball through. Nice movement here. Soraya Singmu with a chance for the cross. His teammate was waiting for the run to follow through, and it didn't quite come. Not exactly inspiring stuff in the opening 10 minutes from Thailand. Warachit and Co not able to work any magic thus far. Not many people would have thought 10 minutes in we'd have had no shots on target from Thailand against Timor Leste, but that's the case. Switch out to the right, plenty of attractive looking to the eye side passing in terms of technique, but no real penetration thus far. Ratanakorn and Warachit happy to sway from side to side so far. As we said, Timor Leste, as you'd expect, playing a very defensive-minded setup, but they were similarly defensive-minded against Vietnam. As finally we see a nice bit of trickery from Picha Ultra. That's going to lead to a throw won by Sitachok. So if Indonesia were to go on to win that game against the Philippines, in which they lead 1-0, pressure starts to mount on Thailand. They need a healthy goal difference here. That's gone out, that'll be a goal kick. Goal difference may become a factor, so they'll be wary of that. Indonesia, of course, still to play Timor-Leste. Already 1-0 up against the Philippines. Vietnam, goal difference of +7 already for them, with 2 victories, one by 4-0 against Timor-Leste on Tuesday, and the 4-1 win they picked up this afternoon against Cambodia. So, Fagio Augusto da Silva yet to have to make a save, but if he clears like that throughout the course of the game, you can be sure he'll have to make a save or two. It wasn't a fantastic goal kick. It went straight to Thailand, but it's all rather lethargic from Thailand at the moment. Contrast this to the opening 12 minutes in Timor-Leste's game against Vietnam, where Vietnam was swarming all over them, making the runs, finding the space. Doesn't appear to be too many Thai runners trying to make runs at the moment. It's almost as if they think it will fall into their lap, and when the balls do come through, the balls are too strong and the runs aren't fast enough. Very poor game of football this 12 minutes in. So all Fagio Augusto da Silva's having to do at the moment is take goal kicks. Can't believe his luck. Twisting and turning Sitachok. Looks like he's got the ammo in the locker, but not pulled the trigger so far. Falls to Felipe Oliveira. Down the left-hand side, they come now with Kevin Dirumram. Long crossfield ball, looking to search out Sidachok. Suggestion a handball there, more than a suggestion, it was a hand. Free kick given to Timor-Leste. Well, the longer Thailand mess around like this, the longer you'd have thought Timor-Leste would grow in confidence that they can hold them out. And that was blatant. I don't know what Sidachok thought he was doing there. He had enough time and space to take that ball down properly. It's not an inspiring start from pre-tournament favourites Thailand. Vietnam have looked good, Indonesia are looking good. Malaysia, not world beaters, but certainly well deserved the win against Singapore. And all of a sudden, hello, Timor-Leste with the first shot of the game. Who'd have thought that? It was a shocker from Enrique Wilson, but nevertheless, it was an attempt on goal. Well, obviously a long way to go here, 75 minutes, but in percentage chances of winning, if Timor-Leste were to hold Thailand to a draw here, it would actually be one of the biggest football tournament shocks I can remember. That's the scale that Thailand were favoured to in this. And even for them not to have a shot in 15 minutes is simply astonishing. They've got this to deal with now, though. The clearance from Andolino, not far enough to spell the end of the danger. Nopon. Out to the left it goes. Here's Kevin Dirumram. Even Thailand holding Timor-Leste, or I should say Timor-Leste holding Thailand to a draw at half-time would be something of a remarkable feat on all previous form lines and knowledge. But they're comfortable at the minute. Look at Feliciano Pinheira, the number 19, got Goncalves on his back. See a lone drummer banging away for Thailand, trying to instill some inspiration into his side's troops. It's been a one-way traffic pretty much in terms of possession, but a reminder, 16 minutes in here, the only shot of the game has come from Timor-Leste. Thailand really struggling to fashion anything creative to get them inside the Timor-Leste penalty area. Can they do something now with That's a nice flick on. They're going to break here. White players streaming into the box. It's Soraya. It's met by a red head. Out on the full. I don't think you can class that as a shot, can you? From Poncam, Nopon. I think he was obviously intending to go for goal, but never really fully committed and ended up probably nearer to the corner flag than it did the stanchion of the goal. Well, apologies so far if you're watching this, because it really is a dreadful game of football, but I can only pray with you, and I'm sure it will get better. I'm sure we will see some goal-mouth action. But we saw Vietnam really have a go at Timor-Leste in their game. It would be nice if Thailand really played with the swagger and passion and commitment that we are so used to seeing from them in recent years, regardless of the age group. Thai Premier League has had its issues, but it's flourishing, and the teams on a semi-regular basis competing in the AFC Champions League. The national team, as we've mentioned, in the third round of World Cup qualifying, a campaign that's still yet to be concluded, even though it won't end with them heading to Russia in 2018. And so when their under-22 team takes on Timor-Leste in a group game of the SEA Games, when they failed to beat Indonesia in their opener, you really expect coach Wurrawut Shimaka to be sending them out to have a go here, and that's not the case. And there, Wurrawut's actually conceded the foul. So let's see if Timor-Leste can build something here. Anderino Trindade going to no doubt try and launch this into the penalty box and cause some issues. Is that going to head straight for the keeper? Did well there, not had to judge that. It's always dangerous when they're coming from that kind of range and you've got oncoming attackers in the corner of your mind. Out to the left-hand side again. That appears to be the side that Thailand are favouring when they're launching their attacks. But so much of this passing is just side to side, none of it penetrating at all. Let's see what Shinyapat can do. Now that's a ball trying to dissect the middle. And hello, it's a 2-on-2 here. All of a sudden, Timor-Leste are through on goal. Enrique Wilson has a shot, and that's the closest we've come. Admittedly not that close, but not a million miles away. Thailand, all of a sudden caught short of the back. Enrique Wilson on a one-on-one. Didn't even seem that fussed jogging back, did Sarenkan. His teammate, Enrique Wilson, a little bit disappointed. He didn't try and square it back, but that's the closest we've come to a shot on target after 20 minutes. And quite how Thailand looked to be so lethargic and lacking in options going forward, and all of a sudden they get caught out on a counter-attack like that is an absolute mystery. Shinyapat out wide to Matalancourt. What a chit. I hope when I settle down to call this game, I'm watching what a chit. Those hopes have been dashed so far. Indonesia still leading Philippines by a 1-0. They're up and over the 20-minute mark, a little bit shy of the 20-minute mark actually. That game kicking off 30 seconds or so before this one, as day 4 of competition in the 2017 SEA Games continues. As this game is utterly dull at the moment, I'll steer you towards the action tomorrow as we go to Group A, after we just see what Thailand can do here. Ratanakorn. Keeper's going to collect comfortably there. Yeah, back to Group A tomorrow, as I say. 18th of August, it's Laos against Singapore at the Selayang Stadium here. Spare a thought for those ground stuff. What a wonderful job they're doing keeping this pitch playable. And then it's Brunei against Myanmar at the UITM Stadium at Shah Alam. Those games being played tomorrow. And then no games on Saturday. Saturday, a blank day for the football in the men's, before we resume on Sunday with 3 games in Group B. Timor Leste, Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, Philippines, Vietnam. So I think after Sunday, the pressure might be on some of these teams in Group B, particularly if Vietnam, Indonesia and Thailand end up winning here. Big asks then off the back of that for Cambodia and the Philippines, even though the Philippines have played 1-1 at the moment following that big result against Cambodia. Well, answers on a postcard how Thailand have set up here. They've got to find a creative spark from somewhere. They go for a shot from range. Well, at least that is showing they're trying to score, even if it wasn't really close enough to constitute a close effort. Vidachat, that was. Fagio Augusto da Silva content to let that peel away. But compare this to how Vietnam had, by this point of the game, probably created 8 or 9 clear-cut openings. They hit posts, they hit crossbars, Vietnam, and it may be that Thailand comes strong in the second half here and end up winning by 5 or 6, but could you really fancy them to go on and win a gold medal? And it's not just the way they're playing, is it? They don't seem to have much energy, Thailand. Obviously, squad rotation's an issue, but surely Wurawut Shimaka cannot be happy with what he's seeing here. Past halfway in the first half, and Thailand haven't had a shot on target, let alone scored a goal. If anything, the best opportunity of the game has fallen to Timor Leste. That's an ambitious ball across the other side of the pitch, attempting a switch. Running after it aimlessly and hopelessly with Pitcher Otra. Only 1 game so far in SEA Games football. That was Cambodia against the Philippines. SEA Games 2017, that is, has finished goalless at half-time. That was Cambodia and the Philippines. We've had goals in the first half, albeit some very late ones, including that late opener for Vietnam in first half injury to that time today. But barring a bad mistake from Timor-Leste, or the Philippines, or the Thais, I should say, finally getting their act together and showing some attacking intent. Not quite sure where the first half goal is coming from here. Trindad clutching his toe there. I think he might have been trod on that left foot. Indeed he was. Not sure if it was intentional or not. If it was a bit naughty from Wallachit. They don't want to lose him, Andalino Trindad. WK Lakmal Wirakodi, our referee, seeing no reason to intervene. Well, we've been blessed and seen some really interesting games in the SEA Games so far this week, and I'm sure we've got some absolute rip snorters to come as the competition really toughens up in the race for the semi-final places. This isn't on the highlight reel of the SEA Games 2017 so far. Still, though, a full 20 minutes for that to change in the first half. Indonesia, if you're just joining, leading the Philippines by a 1-0 in the other simultaneous kickoff game in Group B today. Earlier on, Vietnam propelled themselves to the top of Group B, played 2-1-2 with a healthy goal difference to boot as they beat Cambodia by 4-1. Sanin Khan starting this particular move. Wallachit trying to give an option, but ended up only really getting in the way. He gets the ball now, Wallachit. And dispossessed, and well dispossessed as well. Great work there from Armindo Gorencio. Some space finally to work with for the 17, Ratanakorn. Where's his support? It's come in the shape of Pitcher Ultra. Out to Nopon, Ponkam. Twisting and turning in the box is Kevin Duramram. Here is Shinyapat. Nopon. Vidachant. Switching it to the right, looking for the onrushing Ratanakorn. That's no nonsense defending though by Danielson for Timor Leste. Well, that pretty much sums up Thailand's first half performance, doesn't it? Half-hearted stretch out from Kevin Duramram. They're facing a team that on paper are completely mismatched against them. And there is zero creativity, minimal industry, and no cutting edge coming from Thailand. In their defence, obviously a game is 90 minutes. Maybe it's part of some grand plan to lull them into a full sense of security, Timor-Leste. But at the moment, this is not the performance of a team that look destined for a gold medal. And remember, Thailand, gold medals in football in the SEA Games almost come to them as second nature, such as their dominance. 15 gold medals. That's 9 more than Malaysia, who are in second place. So it's almost like an annual or biannual coronation when Thailand turn up at the SEA Games to the football. But on this evidence, both Vietnam and Indonesia are going to give them plenty to think about. And of course, Malaysia mustn't write them off. They came from behind quite well in the face of some ferocious home support to beat Singapore 2-1. And no one's going to want to take on Malaysia in those one-off medal matches towards the end of the campaign. Well, the hardest working Thai in the Selayang Stadium at the moment is the chap banging the drum in the stands. Fair play to him. And let's please pray that his heroes in white this evening get their act into gear and fashion some kind of clear-cut opportunity. I mean, look at that. What on earth are Thailand doing? It's as if they're not trying to score in the first half. Extraordinary. Well, Timor-Leste plugging away, trying to create an opportunity. There are, and the acrobatic effort comes in. Well, it counts as a shot on target, the only one of the game so far. Bit of credit, please, for Armindo Gaudencio for at least having a go. Tried the spectacular. Safely into the arms of Nont Wangnam. So, past the half-hour mark in this first half. Thailand work to do here. Still, of course, white-hot favourites to win this game. But there were many people that thought this game would be put to bed by now. 78% possession, but they've done the square root of nothing with that 78% possession. Can they make their breakthrough now? Down the left comes Soraya. Inside, Timor-Leste with plenty of numbers back. Cross comes in, not a great one. Met by the first receiver in a red shirt. And Timor-Leste, as they've done admirably, continue to come forward and try and break on the counter. Enrique Wilson. Players understandably wanting to take on water. Very humid, as you can see from the perspiration dripping off the players' shirts. And of course, added to that, the heavy schedule that these players are undertaking in the SEA Games football competition. Nelson making no mistake with the clearance. There's coach Kim Shamwan. Will be happy with what he's seen so far, but even he will surely appreciate Thailand can't continue being this bad. Nelson headering it out. Easiest job in sports media at the moment is going to be cutting the first half highlight reel from this game, because at the moment there is none. That ball's gone out of play for a throw to Timor-Leste. Anderino Trindad's been a busy boy. Got defending to do now, though. Another free kick conceded in a dangerous area. The first one since they conceded in the first couple of minutes now. Thailand put a meat cross in the last time they were presented with a set piece in this kind of area of the pitch. Will they try and go for the spectacular now in a bid to change the stagnant flow of this game? As before, Kevin Diramram is standing over it. Fagio Augusta da Silva is trying to put together something resembling an effective wall, just going for the two bodies. Now, Kevin Diramram opted against going for the shot last time. He's got Ratanakorn, I think, as before, alongside him, and it's going to be Ratanakorn. Decent cross, keeper comes and eventually claims, under it must be said, not too much pressure from Thai attackers. Oh, Timor-Leste have had a break here, and they've hit the side netting. While we were watching the replay of that free kick, Timor-Leste hared down the right-hand side. And my word, Enrique Wilson finds himself goal side with just the keeper to beat after a questionable defensive decision from Nopon Ponkam, and he smashes the ball into the side netting. Timor-Leste could be leading this. Extraordinary. So 10 minutes to go to half-time. Here come Thailand. Has that woken them up, that mini shock of having their side netting touched by a Timor-Leste shot? Timor-Leste probably a bit fortunate there to get away without conceding a corner. But Fagio will again put in one of his less impressive clearances. Distribution, it must be said, is not the best, Fagio Augusta da Silva, and it's one of the reasons why against Vietnam they kept coming under continued and repeated pressure. Shinyapat. There's a crossfield ball. It's found its intended target. Ratanakorn. His deep and high cross. Didn't look like it was aimed at one of his own players, but they're going to get a break here, are they? From a defensive slip from Timor-Leste. That's the way Thailand look like they're going to score. The only way they're going to score the way they're playing at the moment is if Timor-Leste, which is very possible, by the way, make a horrendous defensive error, because Timor-Leste not good at clearing their lines. The keeper's distribution's up for debate. But that's when Thailand are looking at their most dangerous, not when they're playing well, but when Timor-Leste are making a mistake, and they're making those mistakes under limited pressure as well. Shinyapat, a knockdown, looking for a teammate, doesn't find one, but Timor-Leste, as they often do, getting themselves in a muddle, trying to clear. Warachit's attempt going into the hands of Fagio Augusta. So just, well, less than 8 minutes now to go to half-time. Thailand 0, Timor-Leste 0. That is not a scoreline I thought I'd be reading out with nearly 38 minutes on the clock. A reminder, in the other game in Group B in action, Indonesia 1, Philippines 0. Indonesia, as it stands, will be second in Group B. I do apologise. Yes, they will be second in Group B, won't they? Yes, with 4 points if they hang on to the Philippines 3. And Thailand, well, surely this cannot be a draw, this game, but if it was, Thailand, with 2 games played, would only have 2 points and would be in a real bind to try and secure qualification for the semi-finals. As Warawut Srimaka, he cannot like what he's seeing here. No emotion being shown. Angelino Trindade, not for the first time, is looking like he might have picked up a knock. In no rush to take the throw. And if you're Timor-Leste, why would you be in a rush? You're on the brink of holding the mighty Thailand to a goalless first half. Sitachok wins the free kick. Now, are we going to see a final first half 6-minute push from the Thais? Have they just been lulling Timor-Leste into a full sense of security? Angelino Trindade still appears to be limping just a little. Out to the right-hand side comes Ratanakorn. Got plenty of space to work with. Looks for a teammate inside. Making the run is Pucha Ultra. He's going to come back out to Nopon Ponkam. He goes to the left. Now, finally, Thailand coming forward with a bit of purpose and pace, but incredibly, they managed to fall over the ball now. Doing a lot of lone work, Henrik Wilson, covering some miles, but he should continue to do that, because so far it's been getting a bit of joy. 40 minutes have come and gone. We've still not got any goals here at the Selayang this evening. Thailand, it must be said, look like they're visibly upping the pace somewhat now in these final 5 minutes of the first half. Out it goes to the right, and Ratanakorn comes out for Vidachant. Here's cross. Looking for the man on the left, doesn't find him, but here's a chance to pull the trigger, but it's straight at the keeper. And that's the first chance Thailand have fashioned after 41 minutes, and it falls to Sitachok, who probably should have scored. It was straight at the goalkeeper, either side of him from Sitachok, and it would be 1-0, but it went straight into the arms of a grateful Fagio Augusta da Silva. That's the first nervous moment that Kim Shin-wan's had, the Timor-Leste coach. Now, will that spark Thailand into life? cross coming in, not a bad one. Going to go all the way through to Pucha Ultra, who has to go right to the touchline to retrieve it. Here's Ratanakorn. He's being involved in the game slightly more in the closing stages of this first half, but still, only that Wallachit effort from moments ago to talk about. And Timor-Leste, against all expectations, at 3.5 minutes away from holding Thailand, the doyens of football in the region, at home to a draw, I should say, at half-time. That's a decent-looking cross that Timor-Leste need to deal with, and they eventually do get something to it. And a chance to break with Feliciano Minera, looking for that lone figure up front of Enrique Wilson, but poor old Enrique Wilson. So much work for him to do, playing that lone Pharaoh up front. And Thailand at this stage still not overly keen to overcommit up front, but having said that, they have been caught out a couple of times on the counter by Timor-Leste, so maybe they're just wary of that now. But this isn't the kind of football we're used to seeing from Thailand in recent years. It really isn't good enough. Not a patch on what we've seen from Vietnam so far. That's not a bad cross, met by a head of a Timor-Leste player. And they win a free kick here, much to the disgust of Pongkan Nopon. I think that's the right call. Vidachan left himself short there. Down is Goncalves. This is going to give us a couple of minutes of first half injury time, one would imagine. Not been too many stoppages thus far. Usually in these injury breaks, the match director does a brilliant job of showing us the goal so far and the near misses and the highlights. As you can see, the poor fellow's been reduced to giving us close-ups of Thai players looking mystified. The highlight reel for this one is very short indeed so far. Feliciano Pinheira will have to go off to come back on. The man with Goncalves on the back of his shirt will be reintroduced with his team, 60 minutes away. 60 seconds, I should say. Well, they're 45 minutes away from claiming a point, which in itself would be no mean feat, never mind against Thailand in the SEA Games, and you consider how outmatched they are and how many people expected them to struggle, as they did in their opening game against Vietnam. Werarud Shimaka. Surely he has to make changes at half-time, or at least read the riot act to his Thai troops. The only possible mitigating circumstance, I suppose, is the fact that it is a very tough schedule, these SEA Games. Maybe the players are saving something back, thinking that they'll win this game in a canter in the second half. That's the only thing I can envisage. Are they going to fashion one more chance before the half-time whistle? Not on that occasion. We're still awaiting confirmation of how much added time there will be. 2 minutes, you can see there, it's just gone up 2 minutes. So 110 seconds for Thailand to break the deadlock in this first half. Otherwise, they're going in goalless against Timor-Leste. That's a decent ball through. Not sure that the bounce was read correctly by Pitcher Ultra, but Thailand will get a corner out of it. So Thailand with a corner that'll be one of the last plays of this first 45 minutes. They're seemingly in no hurry to take it. Plenty of red shirts back to defend it, but Timor-Leste, as we saw, vulnerable from set pieces against Vietnam. And if Thailand can finally implement something from the training ground with this routine, Timor-Leste might be in a bit of bother. Let's find out. Corner comes in, not a bad delivery. Enough red to it at the moment. Shot comes in. Thought for a minute that had hit a Thai player. Siddharchok appeared to get something on that. What an anonymous 45 minutes Siddharchok has had, by the way. Barely noticed him on the pitch. And when you're playing up front for Thailand in a game against Timor-Leste and you've not been talked about in commentary, that really is an indictment of what we've seen here from Thailand. It's been shocking. Give them the benefit of the doubt, though. Still 45 minutes for them to turn on the style and impress us. But if you're watching this at home, ask yourself the question, do you think you're watching a gold medal winner in Thailand's men's football team at the moment? The answer would have to be no, particularly in the context of the performances of some of the other teams that we've seen so far. Last couple of seconds of this first 45 minutes. And just to remind you as well, that corner that Thailand just had, the only corner of the game so far, they've not even forced a corner out of Timor-Leste at half-time. WK Lakmal Widakoti puts us out of our misery. A worse 45 minutes of football you're unlikely to ever see. Great news for Timor-Leste fans, though. They're holding Thailand at half-time by 0-0 in their Group B clash. And there's work to do for Rorawut Shamaka in the Thai dressing room at half-time. We'll be back in plenty of time for the second half, live here from the Selayang Stadium for the SEA Games Football 2017. But at the break here, it's Thailand 0, Timor-Leste 0. So you rejoin us here at the Selayang Stadium with the players about to come back onto the pitch. Still scratching my head as to what we saw in the first 45 minutes. Thailand were dreadful. Timor-Leste gave it their best shot and, well, they came as close to scoring really as Thailand did. Warachip with the sole shot on target for Thailand in that first 45 minutes. But it could have had an even more shocking half-time scoreline, couldn't it? Because Enrique Wilson hitting the side netting went through. They've threatened a couple of times on the counter-attack, Timor-Leste. I'm sure now Wurawut Shimaka has had his 15 minutes with his players. And also we'll see if there's been any substitutions at half-time. We hope we'll see a different Thailand in the second half. I've not got much interest in watching the Thailand we saw in the first 45 minutes again. Mentioned right at the start of the coverage, some suggestions that Thailand overrated because of their fine record in this competition at this level, maybe overrated this season. Or this SEA Games, I should say. Certainly Vietnam and Indonesia. Indonesia currently in progress, beating the Philippines by 2-0 at half-time. And Vietnam, having scored 8 goals in 2 games, beating Timor-Leste. The team in red you see here, 4-0 on match day 1. And then earlier today, winning by 4-1 against Cambodia. The Thai players getting into a huddle prior to kickoff. Timor-Leste following suit. Can't quite see any Here's a substitution, Kevin Duramram, who wasn't really at his best, let's just say that, in the first half. He has been replaced, I believe that's by the number 10, Buram. Just get confirmation of that for you. Didn't have Chachuat, the number 10, that's come on for him. Just get that cleared up for you very shortly. In the meantime, we're back underway. And Thailand can ill afford not to win this game, bearing in mind the competitive nature of Group B. Philippines already with a win to their name, despite the fact they're losing at the moment to Indonesia. Vietnam, 6 points from 2 games played. And Indonesia, they're going to go on to 4 points by the look of things, with that 2-0 lead they currently hold over the Philippines. Now here comes Thailand down the right. This is already better, the start to the second half, than the beginning of the first. It was a decent cross, and some appetite finally shown, and it was a substitute, Chatiat, that showed that appetite. The number 10 there. So it was a bit of a lost cause, but at least there was some hunger to run onto the ball, hunger that was sadly lacking from Thailand in the first 45 minutes. That gone across the face a goal and could easily have fallen into the path of an onrushing striker. Chayawat confirmed, the 21-year-old of Chiang Rai United. Here's the change. There's a man that's going to start feeling the pressure very shortly. Wurawut Shamaka, held by Indonesia in a game which many observers thought they were lucky to get a point from, and now being held by Timor-Leste. 43 minutes away from what would be arguably one of the biggest shocks in SEA Games football history if Thailand are held by the mighty Timor-Leste. But a long way to go before we can start talking about shocks. Chayawat was looking for Sitakachok, who had an anonymous first 45 minutes. Can only remember mentioning him once or twice. Sitakachok Kanu, the Thai Honda man, just 21 years of age. That's well won by Timor Leste. They'll try and get a break going. They'll win a free kick at the very least. Nelson with a shirt that looks about 2 sizes too big for him, winning the free kick, and a chance for Timor-Leste to do some probing of that Thai defence that was tested on a couple of occasions. Was an interesting flick on, wasn't it, from Armindo? Just wasn't on the same page as the on-rushing Henrique Wilson. Wide cross-field ball. Substitute showing his eagerness to get involved. Chawat has conceded a free kick. Certainly a push. Didn't look like there was any contact with the head, which is what the dramatic fall of Jorge Chavas possibly suggested. Chase that pitcher Ultra did well to win, the kind of chase he wasn't making in the first 45. And already Thailand looking like a different proposition now, going down looking for a cheap penalty. They still can't clear the danger. Timor-Leste coming forward is Ratanakorn, still Ratanakorn looking for the cross, shout for handball, falls into the path of Sidichok, who skies over from 8 yards. But finally Thailand look like they got the bit through between their teeth. Finally they look like they're trying to score. Did hit the hand, whether it was ball to hand or hand to ball. Not sure that matters really. It's the age-old debate about penalties when it comes to handballs, but it's my understanding the handball is the only offensive football that doesn't need to be deliberate to be penalised. But referees obviously often use common sense to interpret, and no real complaints from Thailand. But Thailand now really looking like they're coming forward and trying to score a goal. Chance into the box. What a superb tackle that is. Timor-Leste doing brilliantly in defence. It was Nelson Sarmento with that challenge. Had to be spot on. It would have been a penalty otherwise. Great challenge. So far, Thailand upping the pace. And Timor-Leste answering the challenge thus far. And this is about to be a famous result in Timor-Leste's history. 5 minutes elapsed, 40 more for them to hold out. Still a massive ask. Selayang Stadium knocking it back. Out it goes to the substitute, Chawat. It'll look for Chawat here, I'm sure. Chawat running onto this, but too much pace on the ball once more. Hurried out by Moreira for a goal kick to Timor-Leste. That had to be dealt with by Jorge Sabas, and was. But it's been better from Thailand in the first 7 minutes of the second half. But as I say that, Selayang Stadium, the captain, drops a clanger, but their lacklustre first-half performance appears to have given Timor-Leste a bit of confidence. Here's Warachit, still Warachit, driving through the middle of the park. He'll be looking for the return ball as well. Too much on it once more. Pitch seems to be holding out better today than it did against Timor-Leste's game against Vietnam. From our vantage point, doesn't look like there can be too many complaints from the players about the state of the surface. Soraya Singmu now down the left, looking to atone from that misplaced control some moments ago. Shinyapat hasn't had much to do. Helps to build from the back. Now that's an interesting ball down the right-hand side. It's going to win them a corner. Down to the turf goes Nelson Salamento. And a reminder, that was the other astonishing thing about the first half. It was really indicative of Thailand's lack of attacking intent. Just the one corner in that first 45 minutes, and it came right at the end of the first half. And this will be only the second corner of the match so far. Won't be able to be taken until Nelson is dealt with, though. Slightly unorthodox, dragging a player off over the touchline for treatment. So for now, Timor-Leste will have to defend with 10. So can Thailand put that to their advantage? It's going to be a corner swung in by Ratanakorn. Just their second corner of the game. Thailand looking to make the breakthrough after a very lacklustre first 45 minutes. 4 players in formation. Sidachuk trying to get on the end of it, as is the substitute. Ball went out and in, though, so that's a waste of a corner. Still being treated is Nelson. Surely Timor-Leste can't risk playing with 10 for much longer. Well, it wasn't great distribution again from Fagio Augusta, but his clearance eventually found its way to starting a Timor-Leste attack, and Non Muangnam in the Thai goal had to be a little bit careful there. He didn't handle outside the box. Shinyapat finds Warachit. Warachit plays it down the right-hand side of Ratanakorn. Inside it comes to Pongkam Nopon. Again, lots of pretty passing in the middle of the pitch from Thailand, but most of it side to side, and answers on a postcard what Soraya was trying to do there. The captain has not had a good night, it's safe to say, so far. Still, Warawut Shimaka remains pretty emotionless. Drawing against Indonesia on match day 1 from a Thai perspective would have been unfortunate. Drawing against Timor-Leste on match day 2 would be classed as outrageous. The perennial gold medal winners struggling against the Timor-Leste team, where even scoring a goal is celebrated like they've won the World Cup. Such is their struggle to compete at this level, but they're doing a fine job so far this evening, restricting Thailand, if that's the way you want to look at it, to minimal opportunities. That was lucky there at Ratanakorn. He lashed out there at Andalino. Here comes Soraya. Chance for a shot from range. Oh, and that was an unfortunate touch by the Timor-Leste player, who's given them the opportunity to score. And we said in the first half, if Thailand were going to score, it would more likely come from a Timor-Leste defensive calamity than it would their own piece of skill, and that has proven to be the case. Timor-Leste failing to clear after Thailand looked again completely ineffective in attack, but they finally make the breakthrough. And credit where it's due, the finish when it came was a decent one. There's Warachit initially starting that move, but there was no need for the recently injured Nelson to touch that, and the ball ends up drifting across to the unmarked Warachit, who does the sensible thing and goes for placement, not power, with the keeper and the defenders moving in the opposite direction. There was nothing Oliveira or Fagio Augusto da Silva could do about that. And Thailand finally have the breakthrough. They lead by a goal to nil at the Selayang Stadium. And maybe that will give them the confidence and belief that they can go and score more goals. Emotionless is Kim Shin-wan. They've done very well to hold out thus far, but the deadlock being broken in the 58th minute by Warachit, who registers Thailand's second goal of these games, and far more importantly, puts them on course for 3 points they would have taken for granted before the start of today's play. And they're not insignificant travelling support, something to cheer about as well after a very dull and lacklustre first 45. Substitution has been made. Alves, the 16, comes on. We'll check who's gone off, and it was indeed Nelson now. Got to ask if Kim Shin-wan should have taken off Nelson before that, because it was Nelson's defensive lapse that gave them the opportunity for that goal. Also losing Danielson for Gamma. A double change from Kim Shin-wan that may well have come 60 seconds too late from their supporters' perspectives. Now, what can Thailand do? They look like they've got a hunger for this again. Here's Vidichar. Armindo. And again, look at that defence from Timor-Leste. Makes Thailand's approach in the first half even more struggling. Timor-Leste, bless them, if you at least put them under pressure, they tend to put themselves in danger of conceding a goal as long as you're playing the ball in and around their penalty area. And I wonder, following scoring from a defensive lapse of Timor-Leste, Thailand will now try and employ that and maybe be a bit more direct and go through the middle a little bit more. Here's Soraya. Inside it comes. Soraya gets it back. And again down the left, playing 1-2s with Chayawat. Now Vidichar gets involved. Here is the substitute. Chayawat, cross comes in. It's held up for Warachit. Still Warachit, still Warachit. Finally, he's dispossessed. And again, they just can't get away with it, Timor-Leste. Although Warachit penalised rightly for a handball as we go inside the final half an hour. Of course, Timor-Leste, despite they have the same number of players in their squad, less strength in depth than the Thais. So, in theory, with the second half changes now made and Thailand with still a couple of substitute options to play with, that should help Thailand, but they've got a bit of defending to do here. We've seen some stunning long-range goals in the SEA Games so far. Are we going to get another one here? Well, I don't know whether that was a cross or a shot. Turned into a cross eventually. Timor Leste penalised for a foul in the box, and the free kick goes Thailand's way. Indonesia now lead the Philippines by 3-0, so safe to assume we can chalk that up for 3 points to Indonesia now, which means they'll be level on 4 points with Thailand in second place after today's action. If Thailand go on to win this, the second goal for them will surely ensure they do. But the play in the final third all night long has not been good, save for that well-placed header from Warachit to open the scoring just 5 minutes ago. Now, the fourth official's involved here. And what's happened here? Referee, WK Lakmal with a Coddy, is giving the substitute Alves a bit of a talking to. Hold on, what on earth has happened here? Now Alves is running off. Is this something to do with jewellery? I'm not so sure. Now Alves is running off. I think maybe something to do with footwear or kit. Maybe he's wearing the incorrect kit. He's just ducked off to potentially change whether it's socks or shirts or boots, whether he's got a logo he's not supposed to have on there. Here's Warachit, nice ball. Finds the onrushing Pichotra. Pichotra pulling the trigger from range. High, wide and not very handsome. Still trying to get to the bottom of the Alves situation. It must have been something significant for the fourth official to intervene. He's had to go off and change, so until we see visual confirmation of otherwise, assume Timor-Leste are back to 10 or 11. Or Thailand's chance to make a change now, and it's the goal scorer that's going to make way. And Chinrop is going to be coming on. Chenrop Sampari, the captain. So, can the skipper put in a shift here to make this scoreline a little bit more respectable from a Thai point of view? Chenrop Sampari, a full Thailand international as well, from the BEC club, BEC Teros Hasana in the Thai Premier League. That one cap coming in a game against South Korea, I believe. Scored in the 2015 SEA Games as well. The first 2 goals in a 5-0 win against Brunei. And straight away he's involved is Chenrop. Still awaiting visual update on Mr. Alves, who ran off as if he needed to get changed for some reason, but then maybe it was his shorts on the wrong way around. We're still awaiting confirmation. He's back on the pitch now, though. That's good to see. So Timor-Leste are playing with 11. You can see him there in the yellow boots in the left-hand side of your screen. I believe that is Alves, the number 16. Nice play that from Ponkam Nopon. Switch play from Shinyapat. Going straight through to Fagio Augusto da Silva in the Timor-Leste goal. Great strength on the ball shown there by the substitute, Chayawat. There is Alves. Appears to be correctly attired now. Soraya now has given the captain's armband, as he should do, to Chemrop Sampahodi. Vidachant involved, looking for the return ball as well. So it's Vidachant in forward territory, looking for the substitute. Chayawat. Timor Leste pleading for an elbow on that occasion, but Thailand coming forward is a decent cross, and the header came in from Sampahodi. Would have expected to score from there. Danger not cleared for Timor Leste. Timor Leste, I should say. Correction. Sarin Khan, who's had a quiet enough game. See him in a touch there, but it breaks down quite rapidly. Here's a look at that chance in a forward position. Virachat and the skipper, well, he's only been on the pitch a couple of minutes. Whether that's an excuse, I don't know. But Sampahodi, usually in that scenario, there'd only be one outcome. And look at Alves there. That's a little bit naughty of Alves. There were studs down the back of the leg of Vidachat there. And that was a little bit naughty. But look, does everything right, finds a position in between two defenders. Sampahodi, but can't convert. Timor Leste have a promising attack breakdown. So we approach the final 20 minutes then. With Thailand having finally broken the deadlock, surely they'll go on and pick up all 3 points here. But as tight as it is in Group B, goal difference, head-to-head, it could all still play a part. And if it comes down to the head-to-head against Indonesia, of course, that's a draw, so goal difference could be key for Thailand, and this result is not going to do their goal difference any good at all. Unless we have a late flurry of goals, and everything we've seen so far would suggest that that won't be the case. One thing's for sure, Indonesia can start looking at a league table in Group B that gives them 4 points from 2 games. They're 3-0 up in a game that kicked off at the same time as us. They're just 90 seconds behind us in terms of playing time, so big ask for the Philippines to turn that one around in 20 minutes. So their resurgence that was on evidence with their win against Cambodia appears to have come to a halt for now. Not managing to keep that in was Chayawat. Very difficult to know what to make of this Thai performance. We've tried to make allowances for the fact it's a busy schedule. Players probably thought they could win this game by scoring, even if they needed 10 minutes to score a goal at their death, they probably thought they could, but it was still a peculiar way to approach those first 45 minutes, although ultimately in football it's only the end result that matters. And Wadarut Srimaka will say to his critics, well, if they do go on and win it, we won the game, what do you want? But until they get a second, you've already seen Timor-Leste create a couple of opportunities. Don't want to count anything yet. Next up for Thailand on Saturday, there's a game against Cambodia back here at the Selayang. Next up for Timor-Leste, also at the Selayang. In the early kickoff, they take on Indonesia. And I'm pretty certain Indonesia will give Timor-Leste a tougher time in the first 45 minutes than Thailand managed. Ball down the right-hand side. Another good challenge. There's been some good tackling today at times from Timor-Leste. Managing to win the throw there as well. So credit where it's due to Moreira there, who's been very busy on that left full-back position. Good tackle. Manages to win possession back for his team. Has to be spot on there. And a little nudge. Probably reciprocated as well, in fairness, for both of them. Given to him by Pitcher Ultra. Sitachok.
Saringkan. Nopon Pongkam now. Making it around down the left is Soraya. Not quite sure what they were looking for there. Certainly didn't reach the intended target. Soraya again, and they try and build down the left. Thailand, can they get the second goal to put this game completely to bed? Tough to see where a Timor-Leste goal is going to come from, but they did fashion a couple of chances in the first half, so I'm sure Thailand would dearly like to get a second to put this game out of their reach. They'll start this drive with Nopon Pongkam. Out to the right it goes, and Ratanakorn, cross comes in, looking for the captain, danger's not cleared. Comes back to Sampadi, and they've missed a golden opportunity once more. Sampadi, for the second time in 10 minutes, should be scoring from there, really. Missing the target. But at least they're creating chances in this second half, even if they're not converting as many as I'm sure they'd like. Still not a sensational display, but a bit better display in the second 45 from Thailand. Not enough, though, I'm sure, to get the likes of Vietnam trembling in their boots. What I've seen so far, Vietnam, possibly the team to beat in this competition, notwithstanding Malaysia's home advantage in that great come-from-behind win against Malaysia yesterday evening in front of a great crowd at the Shah Alam. Full-blooded challenge coming from Thailand. Space for Chayawat to work with here. Will Chayawat pull the trigger? Well, that's halfway to Johor, that shot by now, I think. Fagio Augusto de Silva's clearance has helped initiate a Timor-Leste foray into Thai territory. Cross comes in, there's a runner there as well, and that was a crucial intervening header. Timor-Leste, all of a sudden threatening from out of absolutely nowhere. Full marks to Saringkan, who's not had much to do, but that was a crucial intervening header there. I think it was Portello, who we've not seen very much of, that was lurking in the background. Enrique is going to take the throw. Back to the substitute Alves, who's given possession straight back to Thailand, and that really is the weakness of Timor-Leste's game. They can see possession far too easily. Here's Chayawat, who's going to win a free kick. Change for Timor-Leste. Being withdrawn is Armindo Gaudencio, and coming into the fray is Jose Almeida. Jose de Santos there on the official naming, so we shall go with that. Soraya. Bit of chance. Coming forward now is Pitcher Ultra. Sampadi, who on another night might have had 2 goals by now. Instead, Thailand have some defending to do. Enrique trying to burst clear. Strength shown though, and good strength at that by Nopon Ponkam. That's gone out of play. Well, here's a mazy run from Warachit. And still Warachit coming forward. Sampadi involved. Chenrop then having to go back to ensure possession for his troops. Here is Chayawat. Well done from Chayawat there. Some space down the left-hand side. What's the cross like? He pulls it back. Timor-Leste intervene, and still Thailand only lead by 1. Need to be careful here. They don't allow Timor-Leste to catch them on the break. That's a lovely bit of skill shown by Gamma, the substitute. Eventually goes down under the attentions of Ratanakorn, and Thailand come away with it, but I'm sure Thailand would love to get a second goal here. Chenrop dropping deep now to try and influence the game a little bit more. It's all very well, but no one ready to aim out of the box until Chenrop gets back in there. Thailand may be suggesting they're happy to play keep ball for the next 10 minutes to see this game out, and in fairness to them, they probably could do that comfortably against Timor-Leste. But this has been a far tighter game than anyone could possibly have imagined. The evidence of what we saw with Timor-Leste against Vietnam, they looked like they could be carved open at will. Nothing wrong with their effort and application, but just the golfing class. And of course, Thailand renowned for an attractive style of play that yields goals. But it's not transpired like that, and but for a late flurry from Chenrop and co, it's going to be a Thailand victory by the narrowest of margins. But still time. Soraya down the left. Thailand playing keep ball now for seemingly 2 or 3 minutes. Timor-Leste cannot get near them or the ball. Vidachat. Here's Nopon Ponkam. Lost count of the number of passes there are in this move, but they're away again down the left. It's Soraya with a cross. Moving swiftly on. He's not had his greatest night, Soraya. I think he'd admit that. But again, all that matters is Thailand pick up 3 points. If you will take the view that goal difference won't play a factor later in proceedings, then as long as you've got 3 points in the bag, what difference, I suppose you'd argue. But oh, that was a kick there on Chenrop. They were very lucky to get away with that. That was naughty. Naughty from Saramento, that. Apologies, it was Moreira, not Saramento. That was a little bit cheeky there. Lucky to get away with that. Our referee, WK Lakmal Virakodi, not spotting it. He spotted it there, though. And this game just a little bit niggly. We saw Alves, didn't we? Going with the studs down the back of Vidachat. With that cross that led to the Chenrop chance. just a little bit niggly here as we enter the final 7 minutes and change. Not too many stoppages in this second half to talk of, so the traditional 3 minutes that I imagine would be favourite to go up on the board. Peculiar game of football, this. Late change coming up for Thailand. Suraya, who started the game as captain, hasn't had the greatest of evenings, as we said. He's going to be replaced by Sasalak. As Thailand go to the bench for the third of their 3 permitted changes. At times the game has resembled a bit of a pre-season friendly, such has been the peculiar nature of it. Never mind the fact it's the second game in an important SEA Games group campaign for both sides. There's going to be a free kick after a cheeky bit of skill from Chayawat, led to the foul by Alves, who's been certainly a bit of a naughty boy since his introduction as a substitute on numerous fronts. Here's Pitcher Ultra, trying to fashion the space for a shot, cannot do so. Peeling off is Virachart. I think Virachart fancies getting on the ball here. But they instead go to the right-hand side and Pitcher Ultra once more. Nice little flick. Finds Ratanakorn. Now it does come to Virachart. Out wide to the substitute. Sasalak to Chayarat. Chance for 2-0, but it just went past the body of Pitcher Ultra, who was running in. The danger still not cleared. Shamrock wants it in the middle. Shamrock might get it, but it just hit his foot and went past him. And Timor Leste still with time to launch a counter that would get them the unlikeliest of draws. Sasalak, the substitute. Virachart, as always, looking classy on the ball. Here's Shamrock. He's had to drop deep again to get the ball. He'll be looking for the return on this Shamrock. It's Pitcher Ultra. Will he be looking for his captain? Too high for the captain. It almost fell into the path of Ratanakorn of all people. Chayrat was up there as well. Shamrock hustling. Timor Leste clearing.
Substitution for Thailand, Bangkit number 3, Selayang Stadium. The bridge of Bangkit is number 2,
Long probing ball from Sarin Khan. Offside flag's gone up. Wodachit doesn't like it, but that's the call. I think he's got a case there, Wodachit as well. I think he held the line there just in time. The first offside of the game. There's a stat for you. 87.5 minutes in and we have our first offside. Nice little touch, that cute from Wodachit. Numbers up here. Chayawat. Sasalak involved. The ball's given away though. Now, if you're Timor Leste here, you may as well have a go. Better losing 2-0. What difference 2-0 to 1 than if you got the chance of bagging a draw. But to their defence, they just really can't get it going in the final third. Really struggling to see where a goal is going to come for them in this SEA Games. Doesn't get any easier either for them. They've obviously already been beaten 4-0 by Vietnam. Thailand are in all likelihood going to beat them here. It's Indonesia next, who've thumped 3 past the Philippines and counting this afternoon. And it's Cambodia. But I suppose that's the one thing for Timor-Leste. They finish with, on paper, their 2 most manageable games at the Arena. On Monday, they face Cambodia, and then they conclude their campaign, in all likelihood. They're not going to qualify for the semi-finals, I don't think, on Wednesday against the Philippines. Here come Thailand looking for that second. It's Chayarat. Will he pull the trigger? He doesn't. Lays it off to Chenrop. Chayarat again. Brings in Pongkam Nopon. Here's Sasalak, the substitute, with a cross that's met by the first man of Timor-Leste and hacked away to safety. Interesting to see what the Thai media make of this back home in Bangkok. Wurawut Shumaka will have been expected to bring back gold with Thailand. They're still obviously in the mix for a gold medal, but on the evidence of what we've seen in this 89.5 minutes, plenty of work to do. But how often do you see it in major tournaments? The big teams sometimes start slow and peak at the right time. We've seen some great football from Vietnam and Indonesia, but are they peaking too early? It's over a couple of weeks, this tournament, not just 90 minutes of football. And Thailand, although they've not been at their best for 180 minutes now, that won't matter if they peak at the right time. Springing the trap there was Pitcher Ultra, but the first touch let him down. I don't think he could believe it got all the way through to him. But it must worry Wurawut that they've created so few chances. 4 minutes is the time going to be added on, not the traditional 3. So an extra minute for Thailand to try and get the second goal to give this scoreline a comprehensive look. And there's plenty of space for Pitcher Ultra to work with here. But again, a bit like the first half, they don't really seem interested in scoring, Thailand. And they didn't seem interested before they got their goal. They got the goal through the Timor-Leste defensive lap. It was a very soft goal indeed. And since then, the probing of the Timor-Leste penalty area has appeared to be at an absolute minimum. They've kept the ball quite beautifully, he says, as they're dispossessed in their own half by the onrushing Gamma. But a very peculiar game of football. Thailand are going to win, that's all that matters, and that's what they'll say as well. And they'd rather probably get their bad performance out of the way against Timor-Leste now than in games to come. And already, that Thailand-Vietnam game next Wednesday at the Selayang right here has got the look of a clash where the winner makes the semi-finals. It's possible Vietnam could go into it affording to lose. Doubtful now Thailand have already dropped points against Indonesia that they could go in it able to lose. So plenty of big matches to look forward to and a very exciting, notwithstanding this game's not been very exciting, SEA Games football tournament here in Kuala Lumpur 2017. Sarinkan there caught out. Alves, as Timor-Leste desperately trying to get something resembling an attack going forward. They're going to have an opportunity. Henrik Wilson. Oh, hello, there's a chance here. Timor-Leste are in. And Gamma with an opportunity and goes down under a challenge. There's no appeal for a penalty, and probably rightly so, but Timor-Leste at the death with an opportunity. And straight at the other end, we've got all the excitement bottled into the last 2 minutes. It's Chenrop. Brilliantly tackled. What a tackle that is by Felipe Oliveira. Well, we've had 90 minutes of excitement in the 60 seconds we've just had. And the referee plays on there after that challenge from Chenrop. And Thailand are through again. It's Pitcher Ultra. Maybe there is time for a second goal. But Thailand, as has been their modus operandi throughout the whole 90 minutes, content to slow the game right down again and pick their passes. They've been picking them slightly better in the second half than they did in the first. Still not been vintage by any stretch. Timor-Leste could have snatched a draw right at the death. Gamma in on goal. Have a look at this. Gamma's pace gets him through. Had options to pull it back as well. Jose de Santos was there, and he was bulldozed over by 2 Thai players, and no one even appeared appealed, unless I'm mistaken, from the Timor-Leste team. Quite extraordinary. One of my pet hates is footballers appealing needlessly, but goodness gracious me, last 60 seconds of a group game at the SEA Games and you're 1-0 down and you don't appeal for that. Up on Ponkam, to the left it goes, and Chayawat with the cross, met by the first receiver. Full-blooded challenge coming in from Warachit, whose goal looks like it's going to be the only one of this match. And again, Magala's at the display. That will eventually be forgotten about, you'd hope. All that matters is Thailand have picked up 3 points, as have Indonesia. Or will do very shortly, as they lead the Philippines by 3-0. And the other game in progress in this group at the Shah Alam. Well, WK Lakmal Wirakudi is about to put us out of our misery. It's not been pretty to watch. It's been brutally disappointing, to be frank. But for all that, we had some late drama with Timor-Leste having the opportunity to snatch an equaliser. And the referee, like us now, has seen enough. He blows for full time. Thailand pick up maximum points, but not without an odd scare or two. They were simply dreadful in the first half, completely uninventive going forward, and seemingly no desire to get into the Timor-Leste penalty area. In the second half, it got better, but not by much. The deciding goal coming in the 58th minute by that man, Warachit, who headed home after some more defensive calamity in the Timor-Leste penalty area. But we could have had late drama right in the death. Gamma threw on goal for Timor-Leste, but in the end, he couldn't get a reasonable shot away, and after he was bulldozed over by two Thai defenders, admittedly with the ball not really close to him, there was no appeal for a penalty and none forthcoming from WK Lakmal Kudi, our referee. So, a bizarre game has finished with the result we expected, but maybe not the scoreline. Thailand have beaten Timor-Leste by 1-0 and move on to 4 points in Group B of the SEA Games 2017 Kuala Lumpur qualifying table. A reminder, the next games from Group B you can catch in 3 days' time. On Sunday, Timor-Leste, Indonesia, the early kickoff at 4 p.m. local time. Thailand at 8:45 against Cambodia, and then Philippines against Vietnam, also an 8:45 kickoff. And if you can't wait that long for your football fix, the good news is we've got 2 games for you from Group A tomorrow. Laos against Singapore from here at the Selayang Stadium, a 4 o'clock kickoff Malaysian time for that. And also a 4 o'clock kickoff Malaysian time at the UITM Stadium for Brunei against Myanmar. But from all of us here at Selayang, many thanks for joining us, and we say goodbye from a match that's finished Thailand 1, Timor-Leste 0.
adik, ke depan.